Now we're ready to link or parent the objects to one another. It is important that you create the links after you've set the pivot point location and orientation, and also after you determine the optimal axis order for rotations. If you create some links and then try to adjust the pivot points or the axis order after you've made the links, then your hierarchy is going to do crazy things and spin out of control, and you'll be sad. So do it in this order. Set the links after you've established the pivot point and the axis order. To create links, we can do that directly in the viewport. We got a couple buttons over here on the main toolbar. Select and link and unlink selection. Let's choose select and link. Let's get a little bit closer here. And the easiest way to do this is to move from the extremities inward. I want this wrist to be the child of the elbow. Click and hold the mouse button down on that wrist, and then move the cursor. If our cursor is over nothing, we get an ordinary arrow. If our cursor is over something that could be a parent, we get two squares. If our cursor is over something that could not be a parent, like the object can't be a parent of itself, then you get a little X. All right, so go over to the other object and then release the mouse button. And then just move up the hierarchy. Click on the object that's going to be the child, drag over to the object that's going to be the parent, and release. Do that over here. I'm just linking all those parts together. We can link multiple objects at a time. I can select the head, Control select both of the shoulders. They're all three selected now. Then I can click on drag on any one of them and drag over to the chest. And you can see we have three lines, and release. And the chest flashed for a second there to indicate a parent had been created. Likewise, with the hips here and the chest, I can Control select all three of those and then drag to the pelvis, which is going to be the center or the root of the hierarchy. And then we just want to do the legs. Click and drag from the foot up to that knee, and then from the knee to the hip. Likewise on the other side. Okay, so we have created our hierarchy. We need to test it. Grab the rotate tool and then select the hips or the root of the system and rotate it and see if everything follows. Undo that. Just go around and really test all the parts and see if they articulate correctly. Seems okay. Of course, we can do multiple objects at a time. Let me shrink that rotate gizmo down a little bit with the minus key on the keyboard. I can actually select several objects at a time and rotate them. We can see we're actually doing something interesting with that. Okay, so it looks okay. We can also check the link structure in the Scene Explorer. Open that up if it's closed. Open up the Scene Explorer, and here we've got our pelvis and then all of those child objects. Pretty cool. You can also open up the entire hierarchy with Control click. If you hold down Control and then click on that little arrow, it'll open up all of the children and then all of the further ancestors. That's kind of helpful. There's another way to see the hierarchy if you wish. I don't really use it that much, but it's the schematic view. Up here on the main toolbar, we got a button for the schematic view. And that opens up a graphical interface that lets us see all of the links. And this is showing us exactly what's linked to what. Really, it's the same information that we saw in the Scene Explorer. This is just showing it in kind of a little bit more artful fashion, I guess. It's able to do other things. We can make and break links over here with these buttons the same way that we did in the viewport. Let's look at breaking links too. I'll do that from the viewport. Close that schematic view. And if we want to break a link, then we select the object that we do not want to be a child any longer. Okay, so let's say I select that chest and then go up here to the main toolbar and we can click on Unlink Selection. And once I do that, the chest is no longer the child of the pelvis. However, that doesn't affect the children of the selected object. So if I grab this and rotate it, it still rotates and the objects that are children of it still rotate. If I grab the pelvis, you can see that the bottom half of the body rotates, but the top half does not, because we've broken the link. The chest is no longer a child of the pelvis. We can see that in the Scene Explorer as well. Open that up. The chest is a root level object. Its only parent is the world. And the pelvis is a root level object. Its only parent is the world. And of course, if we want to recreate that link, we can do that. We can click on Select and Link, and we can actually click and drag in the Scene Explorer as well to create the link. I can click from chest, drag over to pelvis, and release, and now I've recreated that link. Pretty straightforward. That's how we make and break links in the viewport and in Scene Explorer, and also optionally in that schematic view. In this course, we're looking at just the basics of setting up a hierarchy. If you want to learn more about character rigging and animation, you should look into our other courses, because here we need to just keep the focus on the essential training, and character rigging and animation is a little bit out of scope. However, we do have other courses that you can look at, and then we'll talk a little bit about some of these other tools here in the animation menu. For example, we've got Bones, and we have the cat animation system, and Biped, and a whole bunch of other cool tools for animation. And again, if you want to take a look at that, then I want to refer you to a couple other courses we have: Character Rigging in 3ds Max and Character Animation in 3ds Max, both with the author George Maestri. And that'll give you a good introduction to character rigging and animation in 3ds Max.